What's up, guys? Back again with another video. I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting lately, and I came to the conclusion that all the stress I've been feeling is all my fault. It's self-inflicted, and I did it to myself. And the way I came to this thought, this realization, I guess you could call it, was I thought about how I was living my day-to-day life and how I wanted to live my day-to-day life. You know how you think about your future self and you embody that person. I thought about it properly. Yes, my future self works. Yes, my future self does this and that, but how does this day go? And the way I'd ideally want to live is to just work and do what I want. But in order to do what I want, I have to work. And so my main focus right now should just be work. So then I'll ask myself, how have I been spending my day? So you say you spend 6 hours of the day sleeping, 6 hours of the day working, and you have 12 hours left of the day. What are you doing with those 12 hours? And that's what I had to ask myself. You know, I was doing nonsense. I'd be watching YouTube, watching TikTok, watching Instagram videos, whatever. Oh, obviously going to the gym, but there's still a lot of extra hours that are just not being used in the best way that they can to serve me in the best way possible. So, this got me thinking a lot about a lot of other stuff and other factors in life. And if you guys don't know, I'm a big fan of Greek mythology. I don't believe in the Greek gods and stuff like that. I'm a Christian, but I really like the way that the Greeks thought and all the philosophers. And I like the stories that Greek mythology tells. And so I was reading about this, I'm not going to call him, I don't know if he's a god or something, but this man called Sisyphus. And basically he was punished by the gods for eternity to roll a rock over a hill. And so this is all he did. He rolled a rock up the hill. And then when the rock got to the top of the hill, the mountain, it rolled all the way back down, and he had to do it again, day in, day out. And, you know, this is basically like what the grind is like, you know. And so I don't remember the author of the book, but someone wrote a book about Sisyphus. And hold on. Oh, shit. Someone wrote a book about Sisyphus, and he said one must imagine Sisyphus happy. And so imagine if you were punished for eternity doing the same old bullshit, rolling it up a hill, rolling it back down, doing that again. You know, Sisyphus, if he was just sad about it, he wouldn't want to do that stuff, and he wouldn't be able to live. I mean, I guess he has to, but like he wouldn't be able to carry on day in, day out doing that. And so I was thinking about me, like, if this is all I had to do, this is all I had to do. My one purpose in life was to lift a rock up and down a mountain. You know, I'd want to be happy doing it, but it's all I have to do. So I have to be happy doing it. And then I thought about myself, like, I have it easy if all I have to do is work, which just gets me money. Does that make sense? Instead of worrying about stuff that basically sedates you. And that's what led me to the realization, like, I have a lot of extra hours that I'm not utilizing to the best of my abilities and that are not serving me or serving my future self. And so I wanted to make a change, and I wanted to make a big change, a drastic change. And this video was supposed to be made yesterday, but I don't know, I guess sort of in a way, my old frequency on my mind tried to delay the idea, drag me out of it. It made me think about a lot of stuff, like, I don't know, it just messed up my thought process. But I didn't even want to film this video, if I'm being honest. I didn't like think about what I was going to say and stuff like that. But I just realized I have to do it, because if I don't do it today, and right now it's 3 a.m. If I didn't make this video today, express these thoughts that I have today, then my mind would just delay, and eventually I'd end up in another month asking myself where the time went and whatever, and I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live with more regret, you know? So, this brings me to my next point. I don't know if you guys have seen, but Kai Cenat is getting flamed on the internet for improving himself on camera, which is kind of weird. It's kind of funny. He's basically doing the same thing I'm doing, just documenting stuff like him reading. How can you flame someone for reading and running and exercising, whatever? The point is, the people flaming him are your competition. And I want to emphasize this. The competition has never been so low. I don't know if you guys have been fascinated by, well, we'll say the greats of our generation. Like, we can say like Drake, Jay-Z, Kanye. Those are all rappers. Leonardo DiCaprio, actors from the 2000s, just back then, people that are now known as great. You know, I used to think, like, damn, what type of formula is it that they have, you know, because they've achieved greatness. And obviously, it's just the hours they put in, even footballers, whatever. And so, I want to be great too, you know. I want to be great for all sorts of various things, mainly business, obviously. And, oh yeah, also flipping Mark Zuckerberg, whatever, all those people, right? They are great in their respective categories. But you have to think about it like, what did they have to do in order to get to that greatness? And what were they doing that their competition was not doing that led them to be so great? And then I thought about it, you know, obviously they were giving their all to their work. It's spoken for. But in my, like, how can I apply this in my life? You can't just say to grind like Elon Musk or something. You have to really think about it like, what can I do to utilize this best? And so I started thinking about the stuff that I wanted to change. I had to be specific in my head. And this led me to the conclusion that the competition has never been so bad before. And your competition, if you guys are also doing something that you want to pursue, your competition has never been so easy. What I mean by this is, with the improvement of social media and all these apps, TikTok and stuff like that, all those greats that I named, like Kanye, Leo, Mark Zuckerberg, they didn't have social media that was like constantly feeding them dopamine, constantly giving them what they want to see to keep them in the loop, keep them scrolling, keep them sedated. They didn't have all that stuff, you know. It was much easier to focus back then. And their dopamine receptors were much more level, I guess I can say, compared to now, which is at a disadvantage. But then it's also never been easier to succeed. You know, imagine being a millionaire at 17, 18, 19 back then. That type of stuff was unheard of. But now you scroll 4 or 5 times on Twitter, on Instagram, and you see like every 4 or 5 posts, it's a 17-year-old millionaire, whatever. So it's kind of contradictory that it's never been so easy to succeed, but it's never been so hard, because we're kind of meant to be slow, we're kind of meant to be out of the loop, we're kind of meant to be not best utilized. And making this change that I was going to talk about is basically going to cut out all that unnecessary stuff, all those unused hours. I feel like I'm yapping in this video, but I hope you guys are listening. So, it's really a battle of the mind, what I want to do, and it's a battle of the mind. That's all it comes down to. And it's the reason why earlier on, before me being stressed or whatever problems going on in my life, it was me feeding myself that stuff. It's all self-inflicted, because I was feeding myself bad stuff. I was using those unproductive hours, and I wasn't using them to the best of my ability. And okay, let me just stop beating around the bush and let me explain to you guys it's 10 minutes. let me explain to you guys the change I want to make in my life and why it is so easy to succeed. So, as I just finished matric, I realized with this amount of free time that I've had, that I actually have a lot of hours in the day as an adult. And with those hours, I could do X amount of whatever. But if I used all my hours, the amount of output that could, the input increases obviously. So the output that can give me is multiplied. And if I want to be as big as I am in my head, that's going to be needed. And my competition is more focused on girls, drinking, football, or whatever other, all that unnecessary stuff. And so, and when I mean it, like, it's girls and drinking, partying, school, like, it's all of that stuff, bro. Getting accepted, their uni plans, like, the competition has never been easier. And on top of that, if you check their screen times, I guarantee you, 8 hours TikTok. Like, I know people who cannot live without TikTok, but that's besides the point. What can I do to put myself in a position where I'm using the best of myself? And why haven't I done that before? I had to analyze, like, why I failed, So what I did was, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, if I say I want to be this person in the future, am I constantly looking to improve myself, or am I only partially improving in some areas and then negating that with areas where I'm lacking? Like, it could be areas where I was just feeding myself cheap dopamine. It could be areas where I was not being productive with my actions and my execution. Could be areas where I was procrastinating. Could be areas where I was productive procrastination, where I was doing productive procrastination, planning or delaying, whatever, stuff like that. So I had to really think about how I could change it. And so there's 4 main things that I know my future self, that I want to embody, that I want to be my only priorities in life. It's 4 main things. It's mental, physical, spiritual, and I'm forgetting one. Hold on. Pretty sure it's 3 main things. Got that wrong. Mentally, physically, and spiritually. Those are the 3 aspects in my life that I want to be the most orientated around. And it's the only thing I really care about, because it's the only thing I think about. But my actions did not follow. There were hours where I was not prioritizing all 3 of these, and this is bad for myself and for my vision. Like, I cannot continue to live like this if I am who I say I am, if I want to be who I am, who I want to, if I am who I say I am, or if I want to be who I say I am, okay? So what I did to change this, my plan, I guess, was I plan to cut out all unnecessary stuff in my life. And this isn't just going to be like, no, the only thing I'm going to do is work, or whatever, because I know I'm going to get burnt out. Well, not burnt out, but I know something will happen that will bring avoidance or sort of friction to that. So I gave myself 2 options. Obviously, gym, I like reading, and I like learning about, like, more Greek philosophers or whatever other philosophers. Obviously, I'm going to carry on learning. I have to do that. But I do not need to be watching lifestyle content on YouTube. I do not need to be watching movies. I do not care about football. Like, I'm sorry, AFCON is the biggest drag of all time, bro. I try to, like, bond with my family or whatever, but, like, I don't care about that stuff, right? So also social media, I don't need it. I want to be out. I want to disappear. I don't care for that. And obviously I don't have friends in school anymore or anything like that. So I do not need that stuff, So basically the only thing I need would be mentally, This is learning, whatever. Physically, this is me running, going to gym, practicing fighting, stuff like that. And then spiritually, this is me with God, you know. And then business. So anything outside of that, I should mentally discard, right? It should not even be in my 24 hours at all. This is how I want to be. So what I've done to do, prioritize this is I've got myself, I don't know if you guys can see this. I got myself a boredom tolerance compound chart. Basically what this is, sorry. Basically what this is, all right, let me explain to you guys. Basically what this compound chart is every day, basically what this is the reason why I failed to sort of prioritize my focus in the past would be because my dopamine receptors are cooked. This is due to social media. This is due to a lot of stuff, just bad stuff. Anything that you're feeding yourself negatively, it'll fry your dopamine receptors. And even if you want to work, there was like months where the only thing I wanted to do, the only thing I thought about was business, yet my actions did not align. Why? Because my dopamine receptors were fried. I would sit down, and then I wouldn't be able to work as efficiently as I wanted to because my brain would want to do anything else but that. And it's not its fault, it was my dopamine. You know, if I actually found enjoyment in what I was doing, I wouldn't want to stop. And so me choosing to carry on feeding myself, sedating myself with nonsense like lifestyle content, stuff like that, that isn't actually helping me grow as a person, I don't need it. So I watched a YouTube video on how maximizing or optimizing your boredom levels or something like that. Your boredom tolerance, yes. Optimizing your boredom tolerance, fixing what you find boring and what you find entertaining would significantly improve every aspect of your life, and it will give you joy in things that you once discarded. So I decided I want to become a boring person. I don't want to be involved with anything else. I don't want to know about anything else, and I don't want to be focused on anything else other than the 3 things I mentioned that I care about, and I want to orientate myself around. This video is really long, sorry about that. You don't have to watch if you're already here, so what do you call it? So what this is a chart where each day I log in the amount of time that I've spent either doing those 3 things I love or sitting in silence. This will be, instead of like watching a YouTube video when I eat, instead of listening to music when I run or when I walk, I just want to be bored. I want to be with myself. What this will do is this will reset my dopamine receptors, and this will sort of readjust what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. I don't know if this is like actually applicable because I obviously haven't done it before, but scientifically it is, and I'm not going to get into like fancy terms like neuroplasticity and stuff like that. You guys can do your research, but I did my own research, and my brain should be able to change because children don't scroll on TikTok and yet they still find the most enjoyment in life. If you think about it, 5-year-olds, they don't really they don't have 6-hour Cocomelon hours, bro. They're playing, and then it's like 2 hours of Cocomelon, and they're good. They're A-okay. They're more happy than most adults. If you think about, okay, you don't have to think about it. Children are way more happy than adults. They're more creative, and they're more soft-spoken, and a lot of stuff. I want to be like that again. I want to be free. I want to be stress-free. I want to be happy, truly, instead of worrying about this and that. And the way I'm going to do that is by resetting my dopamine. It's the easiest way. This is like the most clear way. It's what it seems like, because other moments in my past where I've fallen short was because I wasn't as focused as I should have been, or I wasn't as intentional as I should have been, or I wasn't in it as much as I wanted to be. And this is all due to me finding enjoyment in what I do and what I don't do, and what I want to do and what I don't want to do, I do. Stuff like that. Now, obviously, I am aware that the said task is probably going to be the most difficult thing I do. But what would be more difficult? To live a life that I don't want and to continue living a life that I regret every single time I put my head to sleep, or to give my all each day, even though it was the hardest thing I do. Give my all each day knowing that I did it and that I didn't break my rules. So basically my rules are, to set this clean, is I do something that is orientated on what I want to do, on what I have to do basically. And if I don't do that, because there is moments where I get tired, if I don't do that, I don't do anything at all. So if I work, I work. And if I don't want to work, I do nothing until I want to work. Dude, that makes sense, right? It's basically do this or do nothing. I have to tell myself, like, don't go make a conversation with someone. Don't call someone, even though I don't really do that. Don't, like, it's either do this or do nothing. Read or stare at the wall. And I do that, bro. Read or stare at the wall. That's it. I can't listen to music, like, when it's not benefiting me. I'm not going to listen to music just so I can rap or lip sync and whatever. I'm tired, bro. I don't want to do that stuff. The last thing I want to leave you guys with today is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. If it is unendurable, then stop complaining. Your destruction will mean its end as well.